Hi, listeners. Once again, it is Unlock the LSAT, and you are listening to The Key. So, in my last two recordings, it slowly built up to this idea of where people are getting information and hot topics from, and it's going to be Reddit. You don't need a Reddit in order to get informed of what's happening in the LSAT community and all this different type of things. But there's a pretty strong presence of a LSAT subreddit, which has a lot of different takes, and they have people who call themselves tutors, and we have prep company representation people, or basically I should call them LSAT prep company representatives on there. And there's just so much information, and then some sources are completely random, and then we have trolls coming through every once in a while. There's just so many different things going on. So I just talked about in the last two recordings, one about recent news about China and LSAC, and then I talked about basically debunking the accommodation advantage aspect. It wasn't meant to completely dismiss the idea of a small advantage being given to those who would not otherwise be able to succeed in the test, but I did give you some strong pointers to consider why it's less likely that some of what people are saying is true with regards to people getting accommodations. So now I'm going to talk about the abundance of advice on there, and I think I'm also probably going to talk about, and I think I feel like I've mentioned this before, but the different options that we have as we're considering, who do you want to use in order to prep for the test. So first of all, talking specifically about Reddit, there is so much different advice, so many different opinions. Everyone has the ability to share their opinion, their thoughts on this process and on this platform. So what I'd say to you, especially if you're completely brand new to the test, is to be very mindful of who you're taking advice from, what thought patterns you're entertaining, because whether or not we have people using China to cheat, whether or not we have people getting accommodations and they don't need them, not saying that I advocate or support this thought, but this is what some people think. So between these two ideas, it still comes up to you as the individual. You have goals to go to law school. The LSAT is a tool. You can either do the GRE alternatively or the JD next. If you're doing the LSAT, why are you going to look at these two things? If you want, go ahead and send LSAC an email talking about, oh my goodness, I hope that you can ensure that there's not a disadvantage to people who are actually properly studying for this test. And if it makes you feel better and you have a problem with the accommodation thing, you can send them an email to that too. And then after that, completely disregard all of the Reddit posts and refocus back into your process. That's why I kind of advocate for this whole emailing the LSAC thing, because maybe they'll answer you, maybe they won't, but at least you feel like you did something and you completely put this issue at rest, because either something will change or it won't change, but you need to continue to do what you're attempting to do. You gotta keep going towards your goal. It's a distraction. So that's something there. And I feel like I went back too much into those two big topics. But the next thing too is the idea of looking for the perfect platform to study. So there are so many different options. There's actually a page on Law Hub. I can't remember the name right now, and I don't have it open, but there's a page that lists literally every single prep company currently with permission from LSAT to be a tutor or to have some type of curriculum based on this test. And there's just so many different options to choose from, so many different podcasts. I mean, I've just added my own, but you have to figure out what's going to work best for you. You have to figure out who is vibing with how you see things, how you see the world, how you study, or how you don't study. And I will say to some degree, you don't have to spend too much money to figure out if something is working or isn't working for you. And I did mention before that the basic Law Hub advantage is pretty sufficient for a good portion of people if they're willing to spend the time and be autonomous for the most part and diligent in their preparation, because a lot of from what I'm seeing is being promoted by bigger companies as either some type of curriculum, strategies, methods, techniques to be able to help you get better. Sometimes some techniques will really be the game changer for you. And other times, maybe it won't, or maybe some of it will help you to a certain point, and then you have to keep doing your own independent work to fill in the gaps of what's going wrong for you. Right? So don't get stuck and don't get trapped, because everyone has their own opinion, and you can see conflicting ideas about the same LSAT platform. And it can be quite confusing. And I personally experienced this myself when you go into a new environment such as law school and you don't have any people that you know within this environment and you really want to succeed and you are receptive to advice. And some people that can take everybody's different type of advice and just instantly know what to sift and keep and what to throw away. Other people, probably more like me, will hear all these different techniques and try to take something from everything or literally do everything that different people are saying. And then they don't find what's working for them. Or let's just say if someone's in law school and they've been getting away with using one of the major companies with the outlines, and you decide, this is a lot of reading. Why not just use the outline that I'm hearing people been using so that it's easier for me? But maybe you weren't thinking that that's a 2L or a 3L who at least got past their 1L here. So that's a big problem. What we need to practice before even getting into that environment is finding out what's working best for you, leaning anti-biblically to some degree, leaning on your own understanding. Not too much, but with a balance, knowing when to change your strategy. I don't know if it was Einstein, but somebody said that, was it madness or craziness? Or is it insanity? It might have been insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting the same results is insanity. I think that was maybe Einstein, but I'm not even going to check that out because that wasn't the point. But yeah, I hope that you take that into consideration. I still peek on Reddit, and hopefully I won't need to for much longer at all anyway. But it is interesting to see other people's opinions and to sometimes take from different sources. But after a while, you have to really figure out what's working best for you. So I hope this helps, and keep on striving towards your goal, and have a great rest of your day.